Hello everyone, welcome to LICD lecture number 3A. So today we are going to cover three topics. First is op-amp equivalent circuit, then op-amp circuits operating region, then we will study the concept of virtual short and virtual ground. So let us begin with the topic. So we have already studied the symbol of an op-amp. So this is my symbol having two inputs, the two power supplies and the output which is measured with respect to ground. And today we are going to study something new, that is a practical op-amp equivalent circuit. We haven't seen this before. We have seen ideal op-amp equivalent circuit. So let us consider that now. So before going here, let us compare the parameters of ideal and practical op-amp, that is 741. So the open loop gain AV is infinite for ideal op-amp. For 741 it is 10 raised to 5. Input impedance is infinite for ideal op-amp and around 2 mega ohms, which is a very high value for 741. Output impedance RO is 0 ideally for ideal op-amp, and for 741 it is 75 ohms, which is very low. Okay, so let us go back to the circuit. Okay, so let us compare these two. So we know that the practical op-amp equivalent circuit will have an input impedance Ri. The input two input terminals are V plus and V minus, represented as V in over here. And at the output side, we have RO, that is output impedance, with connected with the voltage source, that is AV, voltage dependent source, that is AV times V in, and the output. And in the ideal op-amp equivalent circuit to the right, we don't have Ri, so Ri is infinite, and neither we have RO, which is a short circuit. So this is about practical equivalent circuit, op-amp equivalent circuit, and ideal op-amp equivalent circuit. So let us see that what do we analyze from here. So basically we have already gone through the inverting and non-inverting terminal of the op-amp. Sorry, yeah. So inverting and non-inverting amplifier we have studied. So in that we have external resistors R1 and R2, which are generally in kilo ohms, and those external resistors are much larger than output impedance of the op-amp. So output impedance is 75 ohms. So normally we consider external resistors in kilo ohms. So hence they are much larger and they are much smaller than the input impedance of the op-amp. Now input impedance of the op-amp ideally is infinite, and for 741 it is 2 into 10 raised to 6. That is 2 mega ohm, which is extremely large. Hence, what we can say is we can consider that, we can assume that even for a practical op-amp, the Ri is tending towards infinity and RO is tending towards 0 without significantly affecting our analysis. So this can be done very easily. Also, the power supply VCC and VEE, that is plus or minus 5 volts to plus or minus 15 volts, must be supplied all the time. Without it, the op-amp will not work. So this was about the first section. Now let us slowly move down and let us see something new. Okay, so just now we have seen the ideal and the practical op-amp equivalent circuit. Now let us see its characteristics. So to the left hand side we have the DC transfer characteristics of practical op-amp, and on the right hand side we have DC transfer characteristics of ideal op-amp. As we can see clearly, in a practical ideal, and a practical and ideal, there is quite a bit difference. So in my practical op-amp, my open loop gain is AV. So this is my three operating regions over here. That is linear, saturation, and saturation. So we have a very small window wherein my input is the difference between the input, that is VD. VD is basically the difference between the two input terminals, that is V plus and V minus. So if that difference is between plus 100 microvolt and minus 100 microvolt, only that region the op-amp will work in the linear region as a linear device. Beyond this, beyond plus 100 microvolt and less than 100 microvolt, minus 100 microvolt, the op op-amp will be attaining a constant level, which is called as plus VSAT on the positive side and minus VSAT on the negative side. So this plus VSAT is called as positive saturation level and the minus VSAT is called as the negative saturation level. Also, one more thing to notice, the slope of this line in the linear region, the slope is then nothing but your open loop gain of the op-amp. Now let's come to the ideal characteristics. So for the ideal characteristics, it's pretty straightforward. So here we have the linear region, which is almost a vertical line, and we have the two saturation regions over here on the positive side and the negative side. So what does it indicate about the gain? So here it indicates that, so if we have a vertical line, sorry, so if we have a vertical line, the slope of that will be infinite. So hence we can say that for open loop configuration, the open loop gain is indeed infinite. This is not a practical scenario. This is a but good, very good start for the op-amp analysis. Ideal op-amp analysis is always helpful and it will give us various insights. Now, so this was about the characteristics of a practical op-amp like 741 in open loop configuration, and to the right hand side we have a ideal op-amp characteristics. Okay, so let us understand what these characteristics mean. So from here we can analyze that. Okay, I think it is fitting now. Yeah. So from here the output voltage Vout is limited to plus or minus VSAT. So we cannot have an output voltage greater than plus or minus VSAT. And this VSAT is always 1.5 volts lesser than VCC. So that's the scenario. If VCC is around 15, so plus or minus VSAT will be around 13.5. Normally that is the trend. And also in this practical DC transfer characteristics, what do we observe? Between plus VSAT and minus VSAT, that is, if the output is between plus minus VSAT and minus VSAT, we can write input as follows. V in is equal to V plus minus V minus. So, which is equal to V out upon AV. So, where does it come from? So, we know that if op-amp is in the open loop configuration with a gain of AV, we can write V out is equal to AV times V plus minus V minus. So hence we can write V plus minus V minus is equal to V out upon AV. So hence we are getting this term from there. So we can write over here V plus minus V minus is equal to V out upon AV. Now we know that the denominator, the AV term is extremely large. It's around 10 raised to 5 for 741. So V out upon AV will be even smaller. So hence we can say that over here, we can write a statement over here. So we can say that your V plus minus V minus is tending towards 0. So this is a very important result which we will analyze shortly. So that means why it is so? Because AV is around 10 raised to 5. When it goes up, it becomes extremely small. So we can comment that V plus and V minus voltages are virtually the same for the op-amp. And this condition we will later analyze a little further. Okay, so now let us go back to the next topic. So this was about the transfer characteristics of the op-amp in the practical and in the ideal, or the ideal curve and the practical curve, and we have seen certain observations. Now let us move on to the next topic, that is the operating regions. So from these curves, what we can determine is broadly the op-amp can be divided into two categories. One is op-amp operating in the linear region, and second is the op-amp operating in the saturation region. So basically, most of your op-amp applications in this subject will be either fall into linear applications of op-amp, or it will fall into non-linear, which is the saturation region. So it is a very, very important division and very important characteristics. Also, let me just adjust this. Yeah. So also, whether an op-amp in a given circuit will operate in a linear or saturation region, that will depend upon the two parameters, the two factors. The first factor is the input voltage magnitude, And the second factor is the type of feedback, whether we have a negative feedback or whether we have a positive feedback. So these are very, very important points. The op-amp operating in the linear and saturation regions, and what is the criteria on which it depends upon. So the two criteria are as follows, that is input voltage magnitude and the type of feedback. So now we are coming to a very, very important concept now. So let us slowly move there. Okay, so here it is, the concept of virtual short or virtual ground. So we on the left hand side circuit, we have already studied this. This is my op-amp, practical op-amp equivalent circuit with the two inputs V plus and V minus. Ri is the input impedance, Ro is the output impedance, AV into V in is the voltage dependent source, and V out, which is the output measured with respect to ground. So the uh, open loop counterpart of this equivalent circuit will be without Rn, without Ro. So basically Rn will be infinite and Ro will be 0 for ideal op-amp. Now we know that for 741 the gain AV, that is the open loop gain of the op-amp, is around 10 raised to 5. So we know that op-amp works in various operating regions. One is linear region, one is saturation. So let us consider in the linear region that V out, output expression of the op-amp, is given by AV times V plus minus V minus. Hence we can write V plus minus V minus is given by V out upon AV. We have seen this before. Since AV is extremely small, hence we can write V plus minus V minus is tending towards 0. So we can write number one condition, that is V plus is approaching V minus. Now, if these two voltages approach each other, they'll act as a virtual short. Hence the name virtual short. Okay. So the second condition is, we know that the input impedance is a very high as compared to the other resistance in the circuit. So if we can assume that Ri is very, very high or either infinite, can we say that the input current which is flowing into the terminals of the op-amp, by the way, this orange color box which I have drawn is the internal of the op-amp. So this is my internal representation. So if that means that current flowing into the op-amp is very, very less, because Ri is almost tending towards infinity. So we can mark I plus and I minus, which is almost equal to 0. So we can write this statement out over here as the second constraint. So if we assume Ri to be very high, we can consider In to be 0. That means I plus and I minus current flowing into the op-amp is almost 0. So here it is represented like this. So we have two very important conditions, number one and two. So these two golden rules enable us to understand several op-amp circuits. So we will be making analysis of op-amp very simple by using these rules. Now, let us try to understand with one simple example. So we already know this is my non-inverting amplifier. So having external resistors R1 and R2. So basically we have already derived the formula. V out is given by V in times R1 plus R2 upon R1. We have derived this, but we are making one point over here. So in this op-amp, the output without any resistors, if we consider, it is given by over here, where it is written a 10 raised to 5 there. It is written as AV times V plus minus V minus. So the input terminals are V plus and V minus. So the output of this op-amp will be given by AV times V plus minus V minus. So can we write that down? Yes, we have written that. So V plus minus V minus will be V out upon V AV, and V out is nothing but this formula which we substitute over here. So we get V plus minus V minus is equal to V in into R1 plus R2 upon R1 divided by AV. Again, the same story comes. The denominator is extremely large. Hence, V plus minus V minus will approach 0. Uh, and we can say that V plus is almost approaching V minus. Now listen, this is coming from the circuit analysis. So why not, for most of the circuit analysis, we will assume that this as a first step. That will make analysis of op-amp incredibly simple. Now also I plus and I minus is approximately equal to 0, because just now we have seen that the input impedance of the op amp is very high, so the op amp doesn't draw any current at its input terminal. Hence we can safely write I plus and I minus equal to 0. So with these three constraints make our job extremely simple. Now let us also concentrate on one of the factors. Here we can say that the portion of the output Vout is fed back to the negative input terminal. So here we can see with marked with the green arrow, the portion of the output is fed back to the negative input terminal. So that's the negative feedback. So what negative feedback will try to do? The negative feedback will try to keep the voltage of V minus as close as possible to V plus. Because as we know, if the difference between the two terminal increases, the output might go to a very high value. Maybe it will, it will go to the saturation level immediately if the difference is very large. So the negative feedback will keep V minus and V plus extremely close. What does that mean? That means that these conditions of virtual sort we have derived, that is V plus approximately equal to V minus and all the stuff, will be only valid under negative feedback. So remember that this virtual sort concept is only valid under negative feedback. So it will make analysis of of op-amp circuits very simple. Why it is called as virtual ground, we'll see that a little later. Just for example, if one of these two terminals is connected to a physical ground, the other terminal is connected to a virtual ground. So hence the name, the virtual ground. Okay. So this was a short analysis of a non-inverting amplifier giving rise to this concept of virtual sort. So I think we have covered most of the topics for today. Let us go back to our original main topic so that we can revise and conclude. So in this lecture number 3A, we have studied op-amp equivalent circuit, various operating regions for the op-amp, and we have seen the concept of virtual sort and virtual ground. So that's it for today's topic. Next time we'll start with another topic. So thank you. Have a good day.